So good to be with you today. I'm Will Starhart, speaking to Earth Tribers and Earth citizens. And as most of you know, this is a time around the Earth that there's great suffering and pain. The question arises for those of us who suffer, meaning all of us, what is the purpose of suffering? Jesus addressed that, Buddha, most of the indigenous wisdom holders address it. And I would like to address it today as I think about the 670 or 700,000 people who've died in COVID. As I think about different people in our Earth tribe who have been through hard times, including Judith and me. And I want to address it to begin with today as we think about Earth on Vision Quest. Why is Earth suffering? I want to tell you a story. During the last several years, as Judith lost her capacity to read in a usual way, we started reading books written for all ages, meaning they were simple. And as we did that, we found a book by Robbie Robertson, a Mohawk, and also a musician, who wrote an incredible book for all ages called Hiawatha and the Peacemaker. And as Judith lost her ability to read or write, we would read this book. I would read it aloud, and she would look at the pictures sometimes all day long because they were so engaging. The story, the first part, I'm not going to tell the whole story, and I've recommended this book to a lot of people, some of you, and so you can get it and take a look at the incredible art. I want to tell you the first part of the story, because it's a retelling in the indigenous way of how the universal redemptive, healing, peacemaking power of the universe comes in an archetypal way through people in various cultures. We in the West think it came mainly through Jesus of Nazareth, and that was a prominent moment of the archetypal Redeemer coming through. But it's been in many, many other cultures, and so the Mohawks have this story of how the Haudenosaunee Democratic Iroquois League was formed. And it started out with a great suffering with one of the main characters, Hiawatha. Hiawatha had been attacked by the dark figure Tadadaho and his tribe. And they'd killed Hiawatha's wife and his 3 daughters and wounded him. The book opens as Hiawatha is by a campfire by a river, tending to his pain, expanding his pain and suffering by his own anger and revenge and hate for Tadadaho. This goes on for some period of time. And then one morning early, as he's tending to his wounds, he looks out in the river, and coming through the mists is a vessel, a canoe. And as he looks closer at the canoe, it is made out of white stone. As I looked at it in the book, it looked like a star to me. And he immediately wonders, how could this canoe float in the river if it's made out of stone? Then he looks closer, and in the canoe is a person, not clear if it's a man or a woman, dressed in white, face painted in white with lines of red. And the person gets out of the canoe and walks toward Hiawatha. Hiawatha is suspicious. "What are you doing here?" he says. And the first thing that the peacemaker does is to give Hiawatha a gift. Then he looks Hiawatha in the eye. Hiawatha is filled with suffering and hate and anger and revenge and loss. And the peacemaker says, he stutters, I know your pain. I know your suffering. I know loss. Coming out of his heart is great compassion and love. And Hiawatha is connected to him. The story goes on, and eventually the 5 tribes of the Haudenosaunee form a peace-oriented democracy that still is functioning today. This is not just a metaphorical story, it's a historical story. I'll leave it to you to read the rest of the story, but today I want to say that out of this connection that the peacemaker, the redeemer, the healer had with Hiawatha grew greater compassion, the ability to have empathy even for the man and the people who killed his wife and his 3 daughters. And as I read this story over and over, it occurred to me that we suffer as part of earth in order for us to experience this larger empathy, this larger compassion, so that when we have embedded in us the beloved peacemaker, the beloved redeemer, then we are able to convey to the people around us and to all of the creatures around us that we know your loss. We know your pain. And the purpose of that is love. I'm allowing my loss to come through. But greater than the loss is the gateway to conveying to all of the creatures that we know through our own suffering what it's like to get bigger. Last month, I mentioned to you that in the midst of my ordeal, I guess you'd say, Judas ordeal, I needed help. And I had a dream that I mentioned last time about a plant in our garden that I've had there for 21 years from the Cave of the White Shaman. It's called desert oregano. And in the dream, the plant said, I see you need help, and I'm going to lend you my brain for a while. And you remember I said that I went out, and I've been going out every day and being with the plant, and the roots of the plant come in and fill me with clarity in the midst of upheaval and fermentation. And in the midst of that clarity, I wrote down something that I want to share with you. And this is really the essence of what I wanted to tell you today. And then I'll be done. I wrote down these three things. Three has always been an important number for me. Intuitively, I knew it was, in some sense, my number. And I wrote down three things. The first one is that the beloved Creator, when the universe was brought out of, flaring forth out of what could be seen as pain, in that there were explosions, there were coming out of the womb of the beloved Creator, this universe that we have. And the beloved Creator saw fit, according to what I thought calling the energy and intelligence of the desert oregano through me, that the Creator implanted in every aspect of the universe beloved creativity. And so when we are creative out of our suffering, then it is within us that the beloved Creator is coming to the surface. And that's not just in humans. In every particle, every cell, every rock, every rill, every mountain, every freeway, there is this beloved creativity in its seed form waiting to come forth. The second thing that I wrote down was that at the moment of creation, not later, right at the moment of creation, the beloved divine implanted in us and in all of creation redeeming, healing, powerful capacity for being whole. In other words, the Redeemer was implanted inside of us, alongside the Creator. And so no matter what we're going through in our suffering, there's always this birthing of something bigger. And the something bigger is always related to expressing empathy, compassion, balance, coherence. The third item that I wrote down was that at the moment of creation, in the creative act, imbued in all of us, animating all of us, all aspects, was beloved vitality, beloved sustenance, beloved nourishment. And that no matter what we go through, there's always life, powerful life, so that coming through us is vital compassion and creative embrace. So, in that way, we know there is only love, and love is the strongest power. Much love to you.